Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमां अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरां समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। Hari Om. We are in the 29th episode of Vision of Vedanta, and the text we are looking into is Drishya Viveka. Some attribute this to Bhagwan Sri Adi Sankaracharya, and some others say it is by Vidyaranya Swami, who comes in the Adi Sankaracharya Pita Parampara. So the previous verse was 8th verse, Ahankarasya Tadatmyam. Sorry, the 9th verse, Sambandhino Sator Nasti Nivrutti Sahajasya tu Karmakshayat Prabodhacha Nivartete Kramad Ubhe. The Tadatmyam or identification of the Ahamkara or the I thought. The I thought is basically composed of a sound which has meaning to it. The sound is I, and the meaning is this person I in this body, experienced in this body, is that meaning of the sound I. That sound and meaning, they identify Tadatmyam. They identify with three things. Chit Chaya, the reflection of consciousness, one. Sakshi, or the seer, the consciousness, the conscious principle. And they identify with the Deha, or the body. With the reflection of consciousness, the identification is natural. Like when there is a sheet of water and there is sunlight, the reflection of sunlight in that sheet of water is natural, sahaja. The identification with the body is karmajam. Karmajam means because of my actions and reactions, there is a strong pattern that is formed in this consciousness of I and the buddhi, the intellect. These patterns of desire, of seeking, of working require a body to express itself. So the body is there, karmajam. It is born out of actions. It is born out of karma. Karma also means the memories in us, the vasanas, or the impressions that are there in our subtle body, karmajam. The third is Brantijanyam, the identification of this I with the seer. We say, I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, I touch. That identification, the association of the I with the seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching is Brantijanyam. It is out of a delusion. There is no identification actually. The seeing is happening, the hearing is happening, the smelling is happening, the tasting is happening, and the feeling is happening. I feel that identification is born out of delusion. Trividam Kramat. So, when When this I feeling will be removed, or the association of the I with these three things will be removed, sambandhinaha sataha na asti nivrittihi sahajasyatu. Sataha sambandhinaha. The sahaja, for the natural identification, that is with the chitchaya, like the identification of the sun with the water. The reflection of the sun on the water is a very natural identification. Because that sun is there, because consciousness is there, and because the water is there, because the reflection of consciousness is there, chitchaya, that identification is natural. The identification with the deha or the body of the consciousness goes away with karmakshayat. When we release that identification through our actions, when the vasanas are exhausted, the vasanas means the desire to do action, meaning the desire to get something. In order to get something that we want, we have to do actions. Whatever we really want, whatever we desire for, will not come to us without doing action. So when we do action, that desire goes away is one thing. So karmakshayat, that identification goes when the desire goes. When the desire is not there, the identification with I desire is gone. Karmakshayat. Then prabodhacha, I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, I touch, I feel, I think. When the realization dawns on us that seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking happens in the conglomeration of this whole thing with consciousness, reflection of consciousness, presence of sense organs, and presence of the organs of action, a complex entity is born, and in that entity many actions are happening. The I has got no role to play in all this. The only job that I does is identification. So if this is understood, then that prabodha, that is called prabodha. Prabodha means realization, awakening of the I. Who am I? With that knowledge, the third identification of the I with that state of sakshi goes. That also, it was never there. When we realize that it is never there, so it is never there anyway after that also. Something that is never there cannot suddenly come into being. So that realization happens. The 10th verse, what is this I? What is the nature of this I? I means the thought. In the beginning we saw when chitchaya, the reflection of consciousness, aveshatau buddhau. Buddhi is that thought which ascertains something, which says this is the body, this is the mind, this is consciousness, this is I. Buddhi is the one that cuts everything, divides everything, and makes it available for us to see and choose what we want to. In that buddhi, chitchaya, it manifests the reflection of consciousness, manifests as the I thought, and antakarana or manas, which means I like, I dislike. That is manas. Buddhi is, yes, this is what I want. I am certain that this is it. This is a laptop. I am certain that this is a water bottle. I am certain that this is a fruit. I am certain that this is a basket. This is what the buddhi does. It divides everything and shows us that this, the job of the buddhi. And the chitta. Chitta is the one that stores our memories. stores the data. It is a data bank of our experiences of many, many lifetimes. So, this reflection of consciousness, when it overpowers the buddhi or when it engulfs the buddhi, it manifests into four parts. The one part, actually, it's referred to here as two parts. The one part is the I consciousness, because the I consciousness pervades everything. So that's why it's mentioned into two. And the other is buddhi, manas, and chitta. These three are like toggle switches. When buddhi is working, buddhi alone works with I. When the manas is working like and dislike, that manas takes over the space. And when the chitta, the memory is operating, the memory is functioning in that space. So it is like the same space in your house. There is one table. On that table, when you're studying, you're studying. Then you put away the books, you keep your plate and you're eating. And you're eating at that point of time. So when you're very tired, you put away the plates and you clean the table. When you want to sleep, you're sleeping. Or when you want to remember something or daydream and doodle something from your mind, you're doing that work. So in the same way, this I thought is everywhere. It's like the table. And on the table, sometimes the buddhi is working, which means the buddhi is telling this is it, this is it, this is it. Then the buddhi moves out of the scene. Then the mind comes, I like this, I don't like that. The mind is coming and saying. And finally, the mind also moves out of the scene. The chitta is coming out with its thoughts. Okay, this thought is there inside, this desire is there inside, this impression is there inside. Constantly, whichever we focus attention on, that begins to operate in that table called the I. This I table, this I table means we don't understand it as gross. It's a plain surface which has got nothing in it except that I. It is like that it is like that screen in the cinema. We pay a ticket fare of rupees 300 or rupees 500. We go to a movie. Even though the screen is very, very important for the movie, without the screen, to see the movie is impossible. Even though it is so important, we would not spend all our 3 hours looking at the screen. We want some action. We want some dynamism. So when this ahamkara, what does it do? 10th verse, ahankara laye suktau bhavet dehopya chetanaha ahankara vikasardham swapnah sarvastu jagarah ahankara laye suktau. When there is nobody in the theater, the screen is as if it is sleeping. There is nothing happening there. Nothing is seen on the screen because nothing is being projected on the screen. In the same way, in the screen called the ahankara, this is a multi-dimensional screen. It's very, very difficult to imagine. It is not a two-dimensional screen like the film screen. This ahankara is a multi-dimensional screen. Laye suktau. In sleep, this ahankara is merged in itself. There is no expression in the ahankara. Bhavet, when the ahankara or the I thought is sleeping, dehaha api achetanaha. There is life in the body, but still the body appears inert and lifeless in sleep, unless we are having a sound sleep, which means Guruji would say, Puja Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji says, sleep for you and sound for others. Unless in that case, the body is appearing inert. There is a training that is given to us in Shavasana when we just lie down and we learn to relax without any movement, without any expression, without any thought. Ahankara laye. Laya means to merge, to just fold into itself. The wave rises and and the wave folds into the ocean. That is called laya, suptau. When does it happen? In the state of sleep, it happens. Bhavet dehaha api achetanaha. Even the body seems without any life. Then ahamkara vikasa ardham. When the ahamkara expresses halfway, ardhaha, swapnaha, that time we experience dreams. For example, in the film screen, the film theater, when it is half awake, which means when on the theater there are no audience and the person who is projecting is only projecting some cut scenes, or just to testing for film testing, he is projecting something. In the same way, there is no other audience in our life when we are in sleep, and that time the ahamkara or the I thought is awake halfway. In that, the cut reels, the cut images in our consciousness is being projected on the screen. We experience it as dream, ahankara. It is just like the film is being cut and many pieces are all jumbled together. It is something like the bloopers that we see at the end of the YouTube videos. Suppose you see a comedy video or some other video, they put something called bloopers, which has got actually no meaning. It is just a recreation of the preparation for the video, which they just put, where the person is he's trying to put on the makeup, and then suddenly he's smiling, or he's trying to tell a dialogue and he fails and then he laughs. All that is called it is all an expression of our dream state. So in the same way, in our dream we have desires, and in the dream we will see that the desires are being fulfilled, when really actually it has not happened in our life, but in the dream it is possible. So in the same way, ahankara vikasa artham, when the ahankara is half expressing, which means it is not fully manifesting in the light of consciousness, only halfway, that half dream, half sleep is there, half waking is there. So in that condition, we experience swapna or dreams. When the ahankara is completely awake, when that I thought is completely awake and it is identified completely with the mind, the intellect, the sense organs, and the body, we experience this waking world, jagaraha. So when the I is asleep, nothing is experienced. The body also appears in its original inert state. When the I thought is half awake, we experience dreams. And when the I thought is fully awake, we experience this world. So whether I meet this person in this world or whether I meet this situation in this world, it does not actually happen for the person who is inquiring into the nature of I, because it is just like saying, in a dream, we also see dreams. We end up analyzing the dream. But a person who studies Vedanta, who is wanting to have the vision of Vedanta, should leave the dream and start analyzing about who is it that saw the dream. I saw the dream. Who am I? When we enter into that question, we enter into the true nature of our being, and we don't get caught into the distractions. The dream is a distraction. We want to get into the truth and into the reality. And in the same way, to ask question about what I saw in the dream, or why this person is coming and talking like this to me, or why this situation is happening to me, is to question why a crow came in front of me and not a pigeon. So, ahankara vikasardham swapnaha sarvastu jagaraha. When the I thought is not functioning, it is as if asleep, then even the body does not move. The body gains its movement not because of life, because even when the body is at rest, there is life. That life does not have any decision making capacity. Life just is. So life will be there. But the body gets its power of movement, power of locomotion because of the I thought. The I thought is awake, it identifies completely with the body, and so the body gets a power of movement. Otherwise, the body will just be at rest. That is the reason why we are not able to get up in the morning, because the I thought has not fully identified itself with the body. The I thought is still identified with the reflection of consciousness, and it is lying down there. So for the body to get up, the I thought must gain awareness. We have to gain awareness that I am here first, and then I am this person. I have this work to do. I have this engagements for today. I want to achieve this. When the I identifies with the desires, then it gets up and makes the body to move in the direction of the desires. The 11th verse, Antakarana vrittischa chitichayaikyam agatam vasanaham kalpayet swapne bodhekshair vishayan bahihi. So this chitichaya, or reflection of consciousness, is like that father who brings all goodies from office. He goes to office, he works, he earns money. In those days, cinema, in the movies we will have many family movies where the father will buy many things and come. And then he will say, here I've got a sari for you. He will give it to the wife. Then I've got this beautiful necklace for you. He will give to the daughter. I've got this beautiful car for you, meaning a toy car. He will give it to that son. Then to the servant maid in the house, see, I brought this for you. You can take it. The father gives everything. He provides for everything. In the same way, this chitit chaya, or reflection of consciousness. Consciousness is there, and when the consciousness reflects in the I thought, a kind of power is born. That power is called Shakti or Maya or life force. And that identifies itself with everything. The Antakarana Vritti, everything identifies because the I thought is there, and the I thought and the reflection of consciousness is identified with the Antakarana, means the inner equipment of the mind, the intellect, and the chitta, the I plus reflection of consciousness, identifying itself further with the mind, which means I like this, I don't like this. That's what the mind is all about. Otherwise, it degenerates into doubts, confusions, anxiety, tension, worry. Everything is part of the mind only, but basically the feelings of the feeling of I like and I dislike, and all other feelings from the mind. Chichaya, the other Antakarana, is the buddhi, or the decisive nature of yes, this is it, deciding and measuring, identifying, differentiating, all these capacities which the mind has. And the chitta means the storehouse of memories, the I thought, and the reflection of consciousness, which empowers the I and the identification of the I with the chitta. It becomes alive, and all the memories inside become alive. When the I identifies with the chitta, the memories or the vasanas of whatever I have enjoyed in the past, or whatever I have suffered in the past, whatever I have gone through in the past, in the form of feelings, in the form of experiences, in the form of thoughts, in the form of emotions. Everything is there in the chitta. And when the I identifies with that, what happens? Vasanaha kalpayet. It is generating thoughts of identity with experiences. So the experience is a core which has life principle in it reflected, and at the outer lining of it there is a thin sliver like a cloud, and through the cloud, when the light of the sun is shining, there is a very golden lining around it. Very beautiful golden lining. That golden lining is like the thought around that cloud of desire or experience or emotion. Vasanaha kalpayet swapne. In swapna, in the dream, we see the eruption of all those vasanas, all those experiences. I meet a person. The person whom I meet is nothing but a memory in my consciousness, which is appearing like a cloudy image with a lining of the thought of that person, swapne. And then in the waking state, what happens? Kalpayet means I see this bottle. In the waking state also, it is only a vasana. It is only a thought. But in the waking state, it is a very steady thought. We don't feel like it is a dream bottle I'm holding on to. But in the dream also, we may see this bottle, but we cannot hold on to. In the dream, we will hold on to it. But in the waking state, the dream bottle is not a very solid image. In the waking state, it is a solid image. So that is the only difference between the dream state and the waking state. In the dream state, we see images which are very dreamlike, which are very hazy. They appear and they disappear. Even the longest dream can be just hardly 1 minute. It looks like many lifetimes of experiences. You will go to a house, you will buy a house, you will live in the house, you will run your family in the house. Many experiences you will have in that house. Then something happens and that house is not there, or you are not there, and you wake up, oh my God, it was only a dream house. But still in that dream, you did experience that house, because that is a vasana, that is a thought. The thought is born out of experience. In the in the waking state also, whatever I see, if I see this basket of fruits, it is a vasana that I have in my mind. It is an experience that I have in my mind. That experience is enlivened by consciousness and identification of the I and the consciousness, and the identified I reflects itself on my vasana within, the vasana for this pomegranate fruit, the vasana for this apple fruit, the vasana for this basket that I have. That I reflects on the thought, and the thought projects itself on this basket outside, and I tell it is a basket, it is a fruit, and it is an apple. If a baby is seeing this, it will not see it as a basket, it will not see it as a pomegranate fruit, it will not see it as an apple, because that vasana or that thought is not projected on this. The baby is just experiencing it as an object. It doesn't even know it's an object. Something is there. It will just pull it and turn it upside down and play with it and take it to the mouth and try to keep its tongue on that and taste it. So this is the difference. The object is the same, but for the baby, it is just existing. But for me as an adult, because I've got the experience of eating an apple, that experience of eating an apple is stored as a memory inside me, in my chitta, and I see this as an apple, I see this as a pomegranate, and I see this as a basket. So this is what Vedanta teaches us. The vision of Vedanta takes us closely to the vision of reality, coming to see everything as real rather than seeing with a colored vision of. So we just, why this is a problem? It is not a problem to see this as a pomegranate. It is not a problem to see this as an apple. It is not a problem to see this as a basket. That is not a problem. But it becomes, because when we see something, the I thought is mixed with that reflection of consciousness, and the reflection of consciousness and the I thought identifies itself with the buddhi. The buddhi is the one that says this is a pomegranate, this is an apple, and this is a basket. The I thought integrates, identifies itself with the buddhi, and it shows all these differences to us. And then the I thought identifies itself with the mind and says, I love pomegranate, I love apple, and this is mine. The I plus love becomes mine. And then the problem starts. When it becomes the thought of my thought comes, the attachment to it comes. When the attachment comes, we have so many problems in life. So Vedanta basically helps us to dissect that core of attachment, where attachment springs from, and takes us to that reality. When we contemplate on the reality, it is just like on the car screen, you're driving the car, there are some droplets of rain, there is some space, there are some droplets. So you can see the road outside through the droplets. You can see the road outside through the glass where there are no droplets. When you see through the glass, the road is clear. When you see through the droplets now are these vasanas, these thoughts, these identifications, these memories, the likes and dislikes, the emotions, the feelings. When you see through that, your vision does not have clarity. So the vision of Vedanta is dissecting your experience and constantly helping you to dissect your experience so that you look at reality with clarity. And the more and more you look at reality with clarity, you are living in reality, and that is never a pain. Samsara or change or modification is never a pain when we live in that clarity of reality. Vasanaha kalpayet swapne bodhe akshaihi vishayan bahihi. When the ahankara, the I thought, is fully awake, bodha, the I thought is alert. It is fully present in the body, and through the body, this I thought passing through the mind, the intellect, and the desires in the chitta, through the sense organs, it experiences really. It experiences really, but it experiences always with the touch of mind, and it experiences with the touch of like, with the touch of dislike. And so that is what makes things complicated. But this here, the Drishya Viveka is not talking about the likes and dislikes, the attachment and all that. It is just giving us a clinical analysis of our experience of the world. It gives us a clinical analysis of our experience of dream, and it gives us a clinical analysis of our experience of deep sleep. With that knowledge, what we want to do with it, how we want to live our life, is up to us. So this people who revel in Vedanta revel in this knowledge itself, because what a wonderful creation. We go and see a movie. The movie is made up of what all we have inside us. The movie is made up of vasanas, of desires, of action, of fighting, of entertainment, of experiencing success, going through failures, going through breakups, going through calmness. So many things we see in the movie. That movie is nothing but the chitta, the different types of vasanas we have inside us is what is shown in the movie. And then in the movie, we say, I like this hero, I like this heroine, I like the scenery. The scenery is so beautiful, the sound is so beautiful, the sound effects are beautiful. I don't like this villain, I don't like what I see. We see our likes, we see our dislikes. The likes and dislikes are there in our mind. And then in the movie, we also make decisions. That house is so beautiful. When I get back, I want to decorate my house in this manner. So we see it through our buddhi. And so the mind is there, the buddhi is there, the chitta is there in the movie. And then constantly for everything, we say, I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, I touch, I love, I hate, then I decide, I choose, I experience, I feel sad, I feel happy. Everything we use the I thought for everything. And the movie, where is the chit? Where is the chit or consciousness in the movie screen? The consciousness is that light which is constantly streaming, that light which has enlivened that whole screen, and that light which is pouring from that projector. So that is consciousness. And where is the reflection of consciousness? The movie screen, the light on the light that is streaming from the projector behind is that consciousness. The reflection of consciousness is that light which fills up that screen. When we go to the movie theater, in the beginning everything is dark, and then suddenly one light flashes on the screen. So the light of the projector fills the whole screen. There's nothing else except the light. So that is the reflection of consciousness. And on that reflection of consciousness, we see the different scenes of the movie. The antakarana, the likes and dislikes, the hatred, the jealousies, the anger, the emotions, and then the feelings, the variety of thoughts, and then the choices that are made in the screen, whatever they are doing, the actors, the decisions, meaning the different persons who come on the movie. One actor comes, one actress comes, the dancers come, the children come, the comedian come. Everybody is a different person in that movie, but on that same screen. So we see so many buddhis or so many intellects, so many differences on the screen. So that is everything we see on that. In the same way, this whole body is a movie theater, and in that theater, the light of consciousness is the light of the projector. When it hits the reflection of consciousness, which is covering throughout the body, the reflection of consciousness in the form of life, in that the I thought is there, then it manifests as mind, intellect, and the the vasanas, what is that called, chittam, or the storehouse of memories, and then the sense organs are experiencing different experiences are happening. So what happens? Again, the identification process is going on and on. It doesn't stop. Once the consciousness is there, and then there is a seeming existence of the body, there is reflection of consciousness, and when the reflection of consciousness is there, immediately it engulfs the buddhi, the I thought comes, and the antakarana vritti. The three things come, and then when that reflection, when that I thought with that reflection of consciousness, it identifies itself with the mind. Manoham krityupadanam lingamekam jadatmakam avasthatrayam anveti jayate mriyate tatham. This I thought, the reflection of consciousness, when it identifies itself completely with the manaha aham kriti, the I and the mind, when they identify with each other, meaning when they become the beloved of each other, the I, which has the reflection of consciousness at its core, is in love with the mind. In love means it, identification means being in love. The mind and I become one. Then what happens? Lingam ekam jadatmakam. There is a presence which is inert, but it is there. It is an indicator of the presence of something, of life. This presence is called the subtle body. It manifests. For example, when the sun reflects on the water, there is a presence of the sun, as if the sun is present there, one round presence is there. That sunlight reflects in the water everywhere, and you feel like as if there's something big, something very beautiful manifest in the water. So the presence of the light in the water is not actually that sun, but that sun reflects in one part of the water, and that reflection is evenly distributed in the water. And when the water is shaking, it looks like as if there is some beautiful dance of light in that place. There's actually no dance of light. There is sunlight, there is water. In the merger of that, something more beautiful appears. For example, when I've seen this myself, when I was a kid, in front of our house, the house will be very clean inside, and outside the house there'll be a cement floor, and in that cement floor always it will be dusty and dirty because it's a common space, common public area. But on Fridays or Saturdays, that cement floor will be washed by the common service people. When lots of water will be poured, that cement floor will be washed, and it will be very clean, very fresh. There will be a layer of water, and in that layer of water there will be sunlight falling, and that sunlight will fall into the room, and everything will look so bright and beautiful because the sunlight reflecting into the room, and it will be such a beautiful thing to watch. That reflection of sunlight and the beauty, everything is not always present. It is just because the water is there, the room is there, and everything is neat and clean and beautiful. So the reflection of the light is very, very obvious, and we enjoy that. In the same way, the I thought is there, and the reflection of consciousness is there, the feeling of like is there, and the mind is reflected. The subtle body is reflected in this gross body. So lingam ekam jada atmakam. That reflection of light that we saw does not have the capacity to move around, does not have the capacity to speak, does not have the capacity to do some work. It is just jada, it is inert. Because of all these circumstances, this is manifested. When these circumstances move away, the manifestation will go away. This lingam ekam jadatmakam. But in the case of the human body, this manifestation of light of consciousness, which is actually inert, because it is the I thought is identified with the reflection of consciousness. The reflection of consciousness is nothing but consciousness itself in another form. The sunlight, the ray of the sun and the sun are not two different things. The reflection of consciousness and consciousness are not different from each other. So because the reflection of consciousness has the power of consciousness, it enlivens the I thought, and that I thought and the reflection of consciousness merge with the mind, become one with the mind, tadatmyam. What happens? There is a sudden movement that happens to that. What does it do? The mind, avasthatrayam anveti, the mind begins to search for, because it is of the nature of love and hatred. So the mind, love is its nature and hatred is opposite of it. And so the mind begins to search for love. What does it do? The mind begins to search for what it likes and it avoids what it hates. It gets a life of its own. And what does it do? Avasthatrayam anveti. It goes through the three avasthas. The Jagrad avastha means the waking state. The mind is experiencing everything. I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, I'm tasting this, I'm smelling this, I'm touching this. Avasthatrayam anveti. And then what does it do? Jayate, mind in the waking state. In the dream state, the mind experiences the different dreams, the different images, and it either identifies with it, it likes it or dislikes it, or is afraid of it. Like and dislike are two basic emotions. Those basic emotions give rise to so many emotions in between, including fear, hatred, anger, jealousy, everything. All experiences happen in the mind. Avasthatrayam anveti, jayate, mriyate, avasthatrayam. So in the waking state, the mind is alert and looking outside and experiencing so many things outside. In the dream state, it's experiencing so many things inside. And in the deep sleep state, it experiences nothing. It goes to sleep. Avasthatrayam anveti. In the same way, it also experiences birth and it also experiences death. Again, it experiences birth and again it experiences death. It is moving in a cycle. So life, the reflection of consciousness, life, when it associates itself with the I, even then it doesn't move in a cycle. But when the I associates itself with the mind and the I, when they identify with each other, that identification becomes very, very solid and very real, and then it begins to move in circles. After that, the mind begins to move in circles. Jayate, mriyate, avasthatrayam. What are the circles? In our lifetime, the circle is waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and from between lifetimes it is life and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam, iga samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare. To come out of this cycle, Bhagavan Sri Adi Sankaracharya tells us, hold on to the feet of Murari. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate, Samprapte San Nihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane. So who is that Murari? Bhaja Govindam, chant the name of Murari. That Murari is the reflection of consciousness. That reflection of consciousness is something that appears for us. It is not different from consciousness, but consciousness we cannot realize. We cannot see the sun directly, but we can see the ray of the sun. We can enjoy the ray of the sun. So the ray of the sun is nothing but the sun. It is one drop of the sun. That one drop of the sun is Murari. We can identify with that Murari. When we identify with that Murari, we are in connection with that consciousness. And we are in that connection with the consciousness, we disidentify with the other things. We disidentify with our mind. We disidentify with our intellect. We disidentify with the different states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. We disidentify with the world. When we disidentify with all this, we are in truth. We are in reality. So we will continue with the Drishya Viveka in the next week's session. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसोर्मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम।